Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unlocked, where we talk about unlocking the potential of you, the people you work with, and the people you do life with. At the time of this recording, I'm offering all of you, yes, my lovely listeners, a free 15-minute communication coaching call. You come with some kind of communication problem, and I give you a solution. My calendar link is in the show notes, so check that out. Passion. And there's something interesting Andrew Brummer talks about in this interview. He talks about linking, we talk about loyalty, we talk about trust, we talk about some other things in there too. But there was something interesting when he talks about this idea of linking loyalty to passion. And, loyalty is great. And that loyalty is what I think the end result, the thing that we want. But when we link it to passion, it's like pouring gasoline on the fire. Like it's going to blow up. It's going to ignite. It's going to excite us. It's going to move us. And I think that that's what we're looking for. Andrew, I didn't know what to expect. At the beginning of the meeting with him, we met through some networking stuff, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But he's so quick, and his answers are so thorough and thoughtful and really, really right on. So I hope you're going to get something out of this. He's a fantastic facilitator. He's covering strategies, operations, leadership, growth activities. He loves bringing ideas and people together. Cross-business product and operations versatile CEO and executive whisperer. He calls himself a space to ideate cross-business challenges and opportunities. Red or blue ocean, he says. Outstanding leadership development, multiplier, all hands in where needed, an intense sense of humans, an intense, intuitive sense of humans, limited infectious energy and passion. He has the energy, y'all. He definitely does. And you're going to hear a little bit about what else he does. And yeah, I hope it inspires you to do just, a little bit more in the space of serving and giving and seeking opportunities. It will come back to serve you. Here we go. Andrew, I'm going to try not to get distracted by all the minions in your background and just focus on the conversation at hand. So, if people are watching this, you'll know what I'm talking about. What's the minion fascination, man? What's up with that?
So the minions are my minions. I can't even blame them on the kids. They're everything on the background behind me are gifts, and they're all stories. Life is about stories around how we get to where we're at. The minions are of particular interest. This is me painted right now. It's one of my team members painted it for me. I have a Christmas light show I do at the end of the year, and I have 3 minions that sing along with the lights. So it's a great fascination I have with the anonymity of these characters that just present themselves.
Hold on a second. You have a Christmas show that highlights singing minions.
Yeah.
Like Christmas show, meaning like it's a one event, like single event that you like sell tickets to, or is it just ongoing for weeks?
No, it's ongoing. So end of November, I put up the Christmas lights. I've got about 35,000 of them that I put up. I have a radio station. I have about 200 songs, and it's just to keep me busy, right? In case I got bored. And then they play, and I play everything from Christmas to holiday to pop to rock to heavy classicals. And I try and mix it between countries and religions. And I have a cul-de-sac, and I have people come park here and watch. It's fantastic meeting people from all sorts that have, it's amazing what lights and music can do. It just bring everybody together. It's just amazing.
That's insane. I love it. So is it are we talking like Clark Griswold's Christmas Vacation light show kind of thing? But you upped it up with music and everything, right? He just does the lazy, just put the lights on the house.
Yeah,
right? But you do more than that.
Yeah, no, it's full on. So there are lights, there are RGB lights, so they dance to the music, and there are patterns, and the whole house cascades and runs and plays with the show. It's a great space to share in a celebratory window. And for me, I use it as a mind release, as part of you got to have hobbies, right? Life is not just about work. You got to have hobbies that excite you and keep you going. So it's one of my hobbies. And then I have the privilege of meeting all these people. The traditions, I've been doing it since about 2016.
Hmm.
So the traditions that are formed around my house, the families that come here, and the kids have their end of school cycle that they know, and when they do certain things, they get to come here, and it's amazing the traditions and the people I've met. It's just,
Oh, that's so
it's a
cool.
privilege. Yeah, it's a
So
privilege.
you seem like a natural networker here. Like, is that intentional? Is it?
No, so I'm
I mean,
actually an introvert. I'm a
are
massive
you?
introvert. Yeah, I'm an extrovert when it comes to places that I know well, or domains I'm really good at, that I know, like the cul-de-sac with the lights in that are mine. When I get into leadership forums or executive forums where the topic is a domain I'm comfortable with, I'll nail it. I'm very comfortable. I'm very passionate. I love doing what I do. I love working with people. I love the topic. I love impacting lives. Put me in a conference center with try and tell me to go walk up to someone and say hi. I just freeze up. So I just yeah, it's
You
quite.
know, Andrew, what I've noticed is as a speaker and going across the country and speaking at conferences everywhere, part of my thing and being more introverted myself too, it's like, that challenge of like, getting out and I want to meet people. I want to network. I want them to get to know me before I go
Yeah,
up on the stage so that there's some trust built already. So I'll try to do that quite a bit. But what I have found as I've done this more and more and more and more and more, okay, what I have found is that people are like pretty welcoming. Like I literally can walk up into a group of people that are just standing at a table and just say, "Hey, do you mind if I hang out with y'all for a second?" And they're like, "Sure." Like every single time.
yeah,
Nobody's been like, "Nah, this table's closed, man. There's
yeah,
no room for you." So I don't know. It's kind of like, and now I used to get afraid of like the surface level conversations. I didn't want to have like talks about the weather and all that
yeah.
stuff. But somebody said to me one time, Scott, the you have to walk through the shallow end to get to the deep end, and I'm like, oh, that's so good.
Yeah, it's
So
part of the journey I've been on as well. Is I'm with the LinkedIn campaign program. I figured out how to leverage these technologies. So I meet about 15 to 20 new faces every week, and doing on Zoom and that I'm fine with. And one of the people I met with, one of the gentlemen, he said to me, Andrew, everybody's as nervous as you are. They're all kind of just waiting for someone to say hi. So just walk up to them, put your hand out, and say, "Hey, my name's Andrew. I don't know that we've met." And since I started practicing that, just really embarrassingly, 5 6 months ago, the world has changed for me, and face-to-face networking has become, I wouldn't say it's easy as visual video networking, but it's become a hell of a lot easier, and the rewards out of it are astronomical, because you break all the barriers and you get to meet the people that you meet on video, and it just changes everything.
yeah, so your book, you decide, is it is it about this topic? Like, I mean, what is that why you wrote the book? Was it really for you? I mean, a lot of people say that the author writes the book for themselves, right? But I
No.
mean, I don't know. Why'd you write the
So
book?
what ended up happening is March of last year, I got the Dear Johnny discussion, and was fortunate that it's a soft landing and I'm safe and the company's still going and things are all right. But I had a pretty few hard look in the mirrors at night, and I looked at myself and like, I'm successful to where I'm at, but now what? We've isolated, we've gone in corners, we don't keep in touch with our LinkedIn network because life is comfortable. And then from March of last year, I went on a growth path where I had to rediscover myself, rebuild a network. I learned a lot. A lot of people helped me with insights and knowledge. And then as part of my networking, I started networking extensively with people and started training people on what I was doing, because I was having great results and using the technologies that are available. I was having really, really good results. I have great results, and I had a lot of people just saying, "Can you teach us? Can you show us? Can you help us? Can you show us?" So I started showing people, and then one of the people on one of the videos, training sessions that I did, said, "Well, why don't you write a book and pass your knowledge on? Because I do it for free. I pass the knowledge on and coach as much as possible." So for me, it was very much almost a thank you to the people that have helped me kind of find my feet and helped me get my soul back, and the networking, and putting it in a form that I can give to other people. And then once a month, using the book, I run a free seminar or session on using the LinkedIn and that, and do a training session to help walk people through how to leverage these tools, like you're a human being, and instead of trying to be this clone bot robot that pitches out there, and one of those emails we all receive every day that is selling everything we don't need. And how do you leverage that technology to get past that noise and maximize? I didn't write it. I wrote it. I now use it for brand, because I didn't realize how well people were going to absorb the book and adopt it. And the commentary I've got back is amazing. so now I'm using it for brand. But the initial intent was to pass on what I've learned and what's been shared with me.
Hmm. Because I mean, it almost seems like a side gig from what you like do for like a real job. You know, like how many side gigs do you have? You got Christmas lights and LinkedIn networking. Like, I
Uh,
mean,
yeah,
what?
I got a few. So it's I also do a lot of volunteer work. So all the way from Iraq to Rwanda, Botswana, Kenya, Uzbekistan, Dominican, UK, India. I do a lot of mentoring, coaching, one-on-one coaching. I do that pro bono for people that don't have access to folk like us. So pass it forward. I do a lot of, I'm involved in the local Atlanta Thai group, where I'm privileged to be one of the mentors there. And we work with minority startups there to do coaching forward there. I've got another book that I've written, Leading Magnanimously, and that codifies what I learned in what it means to create autonomous teams and how you do that in a very caring way. And then I'm also a fractional COO for a company, co-founder for another company, and COO for a company called LifeQ. That has been my pride and joy for the past 9 years.
Goodness,
Yeah, a little
I
bit more.
feel super lazy, Andrew. Man, I feel like I gotta get on it. I wrote my book. I was like, gosh, how was that? And then, but now I have to write another one. And now I gotta get like 12 different volunteer opportunities, not just in America now, Andrew. I've got to go all over the world and get some, you
So the
know?
reason I went down the volunteer stuff was super important for me to help find myself. So as I lifted my head in March, we all look in the mirror like, well, what do I do with myself now? And the volunteer stuff helped me engage with people who there was no chance that I could speak anything out of or obtain anything out of. All I was doing was giving knowledge forward. There was no way they could pay me, hire me, use nothing. I was just absolutely no way. So what it turned out to be is a fantastic way for me to find my feet and what I'm really good at, what I'm just naturally great at, and push forward. So I leveraged the volunteer, and as commercial opportunities come in, I'll rotate the volunteer out with commercial opportunities, and then rotate it back. I will say I'm just very fortunate. My mom must have dropped me into a pot of caffeine when I was a kid, because I just have endless energy. So I have the ability to just go and go and go at it. And my family and my kids say, "Dad, just stop. Just take a breath." But for me, I'm like, heck no, I love this. I love just getting and going and helping and serving and moving forward and growing.
I think there's something interesting about this idea of giving. So my brother was an addict for decades, and um, has been sober now for 7, 8 years, and has turned his whole life into service. Right, like he has his day job, but really the heart and soul of what he does and how I'm not going to say probably how he came out of addiction was through service. And it wasn't through an AA program or anything like that, but it was through
Yep.
service and serving others. And through that, because the only option you have is to be selfless
Yep.
in those situations. Because I mean, a homeless person on the street, like, how are they going to
Yep.
serve you back?
Yep.
And so his ability to give, I think he found his worth. And I think that through addiction and whatever reason, there's a lot of things where people beat themselves up and don't feel worthy and don't feel whatever they feel at that time. But that ability to find his superpower, to find his heart, to find his gift was incredible. And that really adds to, I think, that talks about what you're talking
Yep.
about. So in that process, you can comment on that, but I want to know, what did you find about yourself through that process?
Oh, now we're going to get philosophical,
Yeah, we're
philosophical and
going to
deep.
go deep,
Yeah,
man. We're
now
going
we get
deep.
deep. So what I found about myself is I actually dinkumly deeply care about human beings. I care about people. I care about helping people find who they were designed to be, not what society or their parents or their grandparents or the work environment taught them to be. I really care about helping people find their feet and helping people that are hungry to move forward. I am the worst when it comes to being patient with victim mode and people that are in situations. And I don't mean that somebody is a victim of a situation, but as humans, we have the ability to self-perpetuate and make the victim mode almost a career, a lifelong kind of mission. So I don't have time for that. But working with people that are hungry to grow, what it brought out in me is passion for people. I am very charismatic when it comes to engaging with people and drawing people out. I neutralize situations really quickly. I help create safe spaces, and not to use the cliched word, but I create a space where people can pull the masks down and just be human and engage in human nature. And then I found out that the calling for me is, working with young adults and helping them find, in this quagmire of this world that we're living in, helping them find their kind of guiding light, where they're going and why they're doing what they're doing, and how do you help them be self-accountable to propel themselves forward. I think I learned a lot about that for a long time of the world. In arriving in the US and going through the immigration process, for me, it was very much self-serving and self-preservation. And then in March of last year, I kind of looked in the mirror and didn't quite know what to do. And what's bubbled out there is, if you look at my calendar, probably about 50-60% of my time is, both during work hours and after work hours, is dedicated to helping people, and never going to be able to pay anything back.
And so how do you pay your bills? I mean, because you've got to be able to live a life, Andrew. Giving away 50-60% of your time to charity isn't,
Yeah,
going to
along
be
with
always
that,
sustainable. So
yeah, spot on. So I'm fortunately doing that while I'm expanding and creating a network. I think we, as the last 5-6 years of society, we've lost touch with creating networks and being human with humans. We get onto these Zoom scheduled calls where we have a scheduled meeting around a scheduled topic, and we forget to be human, which is why this decoration behind me is there. Is it helps create discussion topics for people to talk with and create a neutralized environment. So I've got revenue coming in, but as I find more opportunities and as I move further into the fractional space and get into more of a working as a contributor towards these small companies and startups in generating revenue, as I move and mature my consulting practice, as I move out of the networking and start using the networking to drive revenue, I will probably have to reduce the amount of time that I'm putting towards pro bono work. But I think it's been pivotal for me in the learning. I tried to sell in March, April. I had a false start in March, April last year because I was trying to sell. I was in that point of looking for stuff. And I found that doesn't work. You need to network. We've stepped so far away from relationships with people that we've become these clone tech bots that get on calls. We talk about one another's careers, we solve a problem, and we move on. And the relationship factor is gone. And, people hire and recommend people they know and like. So I got into that for the last 7 months, but now I'm into revenue creation now, which will eat into the volunteer time.
sure. That's totally understandable. And when you're going out there looking for companies, talking to companies, working in your fractional role and what you're doing there, what when you go in to serve, and I see that you have this passion for people, and when you're going into an organization, what's the thing that you think is holding organizations back from really maybe connecting with their people well?
I think busy lives, and a controversial topic is, we've got a generation of leaders and young adults that are growing through and have not been through the quagmire of learning how to work with people. There's a new way of working using social media and connectivity and remote stuff and all that. But I think the art of being human with people is lost on a lot of people that are founders in companies now, as well as the leadership that companies are hiring. The experience is not there. I think, and with the world being so busy and everything being so transactional, I think people are spending so much time getting deliverables done. We forget that culture and people are the most important part. I have a basic mantra: look after your people. People will look after your customers, and your customers will look after your company. And I think if you get that right, then you can start transitioning your company into being autonomous, and where the company is self-driving, where the team starts driving itself. Because that's not just looking after the people from a salary point of view. It's the discussions, it's the safe space, it's the growth, it's the careers, it's the evolution of individuality. It's making time and being deliberate and present with individuals. And when you do that, they then pass that on. And then that becomes, so getting people to recognize that and hit the pause button, and understanding is not just about product throughput. That's tough. And we understand it's commercial, because at the end of the day, you can be as passionate about something and care about something as much as you want. If the commercials are not there, then you don't have anything. So it's a tough balance to play.
Yeah, I've been talking more and more the way I'm seeing companies interact and do things. It seems like a lot of it's boiling. It's like coming to like a boiling point, like we've been prepping for new generations, and these generations are now taking over into the workforce and leadership positions. But there's still those older generations that are holding on. So I see a lot of generational conflict happening. There's a lot of trust erosion, I think, inside of organizations. I think it all boils down to communication problems that erode the trust in the first place. Because if we all communicated well, we'd probably have more trust within organizations. But can you talk to the trust piece a little bit? Are you seeing any of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the problem is, trust erodes not by the big mistakes we make. Trust erodes through the small jibe, snide comments we make. When somebody says something, it's the roll of the eyes or the lift of the eyebrow. Zoom rage is a thing, right? It's when somebody's talking and you have that physiological reaction that demonstrates to someone that, well, you know what, that wasn't quite on the money. And the problem is those small little things, those small little behaviors, we don't recognize that we're doing them on Zoom. We wouldn't do them face to face. We'd be very mindful about doing them face to face if I was standing in front of somebody. But on Zoom, we almost feel like we're in the car. So that's, like car rage and Zoom rage kind of steps in, where you're not paying attention to the micro behaviors, the micro physiological behaviors, and the micro words you're using. And those micro words, you can give somebody the best autonomy you want, and then turn around to them and say, right, you have full autonomy. However, if I was doing this job, this is probably how I'd go about doing it. But I'll leave the decision to you. I mean, what you've done there is you can't give autonomy and then have that kind of language that puts out, because that just destroys trust. It destroys the ability, and trust takes a long time to repair itself, to create itself. And we forget that you could do 10 things positive, do one negative thing, and that one negative thing will negate the 10 things, especially if there's a history of trust abuse, where people say they trust one another. You got to say what you mean what you say, and do what you said you're going to do. And if you could do that persistently, trust will self-develop. Covey wrote around speed of trust. It's all just one small step at a time. There's no magnanimous big step that takes place that says, I now trust you. They're all small things. And we look at these big projects and say, well, I gave you the big project, so surely that demonstrates that I trust you. But inside the micro behaviors, everything I'm saying and doing demonstrates I don't. And when I don't have the face-to-face times, all remote and at Zoom, I have no ability to create rapport with you that helps you understand that the words I'm using, they're not directed at you. They're just words I use. But because they're transactional meetings, you don't get to know the human. So it's really difficult to discern. These small little micro words that I'm using, are they aimed at me as a human being because you don't really trust me and you really are trying to micromanage me? Or is it just the nature of how you engage? And when you're doing targeted meetings, you can't get through that. You can't find those. You can't socially learn that. Your emotional muscles can't find those exercises.
Yeah, there's I often talk about when I did brand strategy work for companies externally, right? Marketing and design work for companies and working in the brand strategy space. It was, this thing I talked about called either brand heaven or brand hell, and working up to that point where companies almost demanded loyalty from their customers. And they're like, people just aren't loyal anymore, right? Yeah. Now, what we're hearing is leaders saying that. And so what I do is I take that whole thing and I put it on internal, because I work only with internal teams now on their culture and teams. And when I'm working with them, I'm like, you're demanding loyalty instantly from your people, and that they trust you instantly. Old school thinking was that way. Industrial age thinking was, I come in, my boss automatically starts with an A because they've been there. I respect them immediately because they're positional power, et cetera, et cetera. Now generations walk in from the Gen Xers and down, and we start looking at them and saying, yeah, you start with maybe a C. You got to earn a B. You got to earn an A with me. And when we work through this, transition to brand heaven, it all starts with first impressions. Then I talk about moving on to consistency, then talk about moving on to credibility, authenticity. And then finally, we can get into the trust space. After you've checked all those boxes, moving into the trust space, then we'll determine if I'm loyal to you or not. And I think the impatience of today is leading us to this like false idea that people should just be loyal immediately.
Yeah, it takes time. I mean, I inherited a team in 2020, and it took me a good 18 months to get to the point that there was a sense of self-created and self-sustaining passion. Because along with loyalty is one piece, but if you can strike passion inside of loyalty, you almost have a Nirvana type team, because you have people that are loyal to a cause and passionate to doing to executing and following through, and that passion and loyalty will drives remarkable outcomes. But it's a journey to get there, and you have to be patient. You can't rush it. And every one of your team members that you start coaching in that direction, they have their own journey they need to go through. And some people are ready to embrace it sooner, and some later. But what's really cool is, common sense prevails. When people see that common sense and logic prevails, can prevail, it will prevail. People, they will allow it. But you then, as the leader, you have to create the space to facilitate that surviving. You can't create it, but not really. You can't create it under your rules. You have to create it under the general social contract. Like, I have some basic rules with my team. One, don't let me ever get caught with my pants down. I don't care what breaks. I'll catch you. I'll keep things safe, and I'll protect you. I'll make sure things are okay, and we'll walk through and fix whatever got broke. And own what you do. Just own it. Don't blame other people for what's happened. Just own it and move forward, and go do it. I'm not here to do your job. Off you go. Go do your job. If you need help moving boulders, I'll help you move boulders. I'll move things out of your way. But that's tough. When you do that level of absolute autonomy and trust, that people actually find they don't really want it, or they're not ready for it, is a better statement. And to coach them on being okay with that autonomy, and to lean into the fact that they're trusted. People say they want to be trusted, they want trust, they want to be trusted. But being trusted also comes with responsibilities that you need to execute, you need to decide, you need to move forward, you need to move forward safely, and the team around you need to look after you. So there's a lot of moving parts that come with it. There's no magical one that puts it all in place. It's time, words, and behavior.
Time, words, behavior. What's the one that's hardest, you think, for people?
I think one would think behavior. But I think that comes over time. It's natural. I think it's words, because words matter. The old adage of sticks and stones break my bones, but words will never harm me. I don't think ever a bigger lie was ever said. I think words are so damaging, and the micro words that we use can be so long-lastingly damaging. They can put people into careers, behavioral norms that they are not, but they're doing it because they know the words. They understand the consequence of the word. They understand the consequence of behavior, and they're the micro words. And the micro words are not the words that you go into a meeting and say, right, you messed up, you did bad, let's fix it and move forward. They're the words that you go home at night with your significant other, and you ponder and like, what the hell happened today? What did I do? What did I say? What did I miss? Those are things that you don't have answers for, that you muddle around. The small words matter. So I think the hardest for us to do is, as a leader, when you're under pressure, how do you behave when you're under pressure and, the proverbial, paper's going to hit the fan? How do you behave in a way that is identical to the way you would behave when you're celebrating and having a good time? And I don't mean the party and the euphoric. I don't mean to be dismissal, but I mean, how are you calm, collected, present of mind, deliberate, careful of the words you're using, inspiring, encouraging? How are you that in the worst of scenarios? Because when you can find that balance as a leader, that's tough. So I think the words are the hardest part in that, in those three.
That makes sense. I thought you were going to say time. I really did. I thought you were going to say time.
Beautiful. Time heals everything. Time gives, some people embrace change quickly. Some people take a long time. But the beauty of life that I've experienced is when you find people that want to, when you give them space to want to, and you make it okay for them to want to do something different and be something different, and there's no consequence. Time is amazing. Time is, it's an antidote. It's an antibiotic. It's an amazing thing. People who resist today, give them time, give them the right insights, give them the right words, and time will be the magic pill that brings them along. You can't rush them, and everybody to their own. No one knows what I've been through and my journey. No one knows your journey. And the key is for to work with people through the sum of the journey, not try and interrupt the journey. You're going to work with the sum of what you got. And if that's not sufficient, then, you need to consider whether you should be working with that person or not.
So leading magnanimously, you picked a great title, man. Leading can't even say it. Magnanimously. I was sitting here, I was practicing even before the show to try to say the word. And that whole idea of that book is what for you?
It's about being humble. So I decided to take all of the wisdoms that I've learned from Simon and Drucker and all of the brand, just all of these beautiful people out there that have put some amazing words out there. I said, I want to put something together that's a transactional use guide that people could pick the book up and say, what did Andrew mean when he said be kind, or be loved, or be loving, or be vulnerable, be transparent? So a guide. So what I did is I said, what are the behavioral characteristics? And I worked with my team to say, what are the behavioral characteristics that resonate in our team? What are the things we're doing that are causing you to want to come to work on Monday morning? We had the unfortunate situation. We had to let a bunch of people go, and the people that we let go want to come back into the company. They want to come back to the culture that we created, into the energy. So what I wanted to do was put that down and say to people, instead of saying, hey, this is the theory you work towards, I wanted to give people transactional things that they could look at, and small words like this. Point out things like these small words that people say matter. When you go to someone and say, yeah, you've got the job, it's your responsibility. If I was doing it, don't listen to me, but if I was doing it, this is what I would do. Putting examples like that in there that help people recognize that if you want to have a team, if you are driving towards a trusted environment, if you are trying to get to autonomous, if you're trying to get to a team that is self-motivated and self-executing, and you're trying to get to a team that means what they say what they mean, and does what they said they're going to do, then there are certain behaviors you as a leader have to do. There's certain things you have to emulate in how you engage with that team. And the book is about that. It's about how do you turn a team from a really good, high-powered, productive team into something magnanimous, something larger than itself, something that delivers bigger than what it's capable of doing in a way that is larger than the sum of the characters. How do you do that? So you have to want to go there, because it's a deliberate journey to go down that path.
It is. And I talk a lot about intentionality and things. Yep. Things, sometimes can happen by accident, but you're much likely to have some success if you put some effort in and be more intentional about that thing. So
it's also a decision to do. You can be a manager, you can be a leader, or you can be something different. Being a leader, carrying the leader title, doesn't mean you are creating what you think you are. Right, you got to look at it. There are levels of which you have the opportunity to step in and affect and infect people's lives and help them become something. One of my team members, they found the quote on one of the social channels, and it basically says, having a work environment, I'm going to get this wrong, and she'll slap me for getting it wrong. Having a work environment, loving work is about going to sleep, being excited about waking up tomorrow morning and going to work. How do you create that subculture that allows you to want to get back to work, that allows you to want to be in the office, to not be remote, that allows you to be excited, and as a leader, how do you do that? And that's what this book is about, is how do you go through that journey? It's a book that reflects on my journey going through it and the things I did and the team did with me to get there. And it's a self-reflection journey of, again, paying it forward to say, this is how I got it to work. I'd invite anyone to kind of pick the pieces up and apply what's relevant and go figure out how they make their version of their journey true.
Very cool. If people want to get a hold of any of your books, they want to get a hold of you, what's going on? How'd they do it?
So the website is ardunan.com. It's ARDUNAN.com. All contact details, emails, and everything's in there. I'll have the books listed up there as well. You Decide, Leading Magnanimous. You Decide is there. Leading Magnanimously will go up as soon as I've got it available. But we'd love to chat with anyone. I don't profess to have the answers. I've got a lot of scars. I've, as with you, burned a lot of fingers, made a lot of mistakes, but been very fortunate that I've had the space and the fortitude and the upbringing to help me go in the right direction and see if I can take something usable and pass it forward. My team love it, and the teams, the people that engage with love it. And how do you pass that forward? How do you make it larger than you?
Yeah, good message, man. Good message. Keep spreading the goodness. Keep spreading the Christmas cheer, and living up your minions and whatever else you got to do. But appreciate you being on the show, and thanks for all your insights.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you and your time. I appreciate what you put together here.
If we look after our people, we consider our people the prized possession of our organizations. I think some of us do. I think some of us realize that our companies would not function without the people. I think we forget that as well sometimes. But there's this idea that if we lead our people well, our people will then lead our customers well. So that is why I'm so focused on internal brand development for companies, leaders, teams. What is your brand perception as a leader? How are you communicating? How are you behaving? What influence are you building inside your organization? Because if your inside is broken, your outside will eventually show the cracks. And that is what's so critical. And I don't think people quite understand it yet. When I was doing a lot of external brand work and marketing and sales and all types of things for companies, they often wanted us to put the lipstick on the pig. And we did it. And at some point I said, hold on a second. Why are we putting lipstick on the pig? Why aren't we fixing the internal problems that are happening here so that then you don't have to work so hard on the external stuff? So, I love the way that Andrew put it, that if our people take care of our customers will take care of our company. And I wish more leaders had that point of view. Passion, loyalty, working with the sum of what we have and using that to our advantage. There's so many good things in here. I hope your passion for people, if it's not there yet, I hope you're able to find some space to work on that, to lead in a way that helps people want to follow you and where they get to follow you. That's gold. Thank you, Andrew, for spreading it. If you want to find out more information about me or check out the show notes where there's going to be more information and links to the things referenced in this episode, visit skotwaldron.com. And lastly, I'm asking for a little bit of love, just a little bit. So please take a moment, follow, rate the show. The algorithms like that. It helps me get the word out. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And until next time, stay unlocked.